Hello, and welcome to the Music Teacher Coffee Talk podcast. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Tanya. We are both elementary music teachers who love to talk shop, preferably over a steaming cup of coffee. This is episode 161. Today we are talking with Beth Duhon about strategies for implementing summer learning into the school year. We'll also talk about our highs and lows from the teaching week, discuss a know better, do better idea, share a work smarter, not harder teacher tip,
And in our CODA section, we'll give some specific recommendations of our favorite things we are enjoying in and out of the music room. So grab your beverage of choice and let's get started.
And we're so pleased to have Beth Duhon here with us today. Beth Duhon is passionate about music teacher self care. She has presented on the subject for the Oak National Conference, IAMEA, musicplayonline.com, and several other music education organizations. She has been a podcast guest on Mrs. Stauffer's VIP Music Room podcast, Afternoon Tea, Music Cast, the Elementary Music Teacher podcast, and the Music Room with Aileen Miracle.
Beth's Facebook group is Happier Music Teachers. She is the author of Happier Music Teacher 50 Days to Being a Happier Music Teacher at Home and at School. And she is the host of the podcast Happier Music Teacher Self Care for the Music Educator. She is currently a K 5 music teacher in Fort Bend ISD at Oakland Elementary in Richmond, Texas. Her husband, Jimmy, and her son, Mark, make her happy. Welcome, Beth. So we are so excited to have Beth here on our podcast. Welcome, Beth Duhon.
Thank you. Welcome.
We are going to jump into some highs and lows, sharing something awesome or not so awesome from our teaching week. You're back to school now, right, Beth?
I am.
Yeah.
We have been back since, oh goodness, August 8th.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you're early.
We're early.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Tanya, you want to go first and share something awesome or maybe not or in between, whatever?
No, actually, I've got a high. It's still the first couple lessons with all of my kiddos, and I got a new puppet this summer. He's a horse. His name is Chestnut, which I thought of on the fly. Anyway, all this to say, like again, Carrie, I should have brought him here, but maybe we'll show some Insta stories with our puppets. But everybody loves puppets, even the older kids, and really on a whim on the very last second as kids are walking in the room, I'm like, how am I going to introduce this call and response song? I'm not happy with the way I've been introducing it because they haven't been grasping it. And I just thought, I'm going to use Chestnut the horse and he's going to help me. It's going to be me and Chestnut singing back and forth. And of course, it's fifth grade. So I feel a little bit like, are they going to am I going to be like that South Park teacher with the puppet that takes away? And they loved it. It's fine. Fifth graders love puppets too. They were mesmerized by Chestnut. We got it done and put them away and carried on. And they know the song. And puppets are great for everybody. That's my bottom line.
Yay. And then you can use them for Under the Spreading Chestnut Tree.
Ooh, good one. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hadn't thought about that. Good one. Okay. Carrie, what about you?
Well, mine's like a high-low combo. So if you've been listening for any time, you know that like my nemesis for the last 3 years since I've come to the school is there's this loft area that lives above my stage, and it's like where props and costumes and just general shenanigans happens and everything just comes to die there. And I've made it worse since I've been there. I'm not blaming my predecessor at all. It's mostly me actually just throwing stuff up there and go, I'll deal with that later. So I finally dealt with it. So the high is that it's got done to the point where it's functional. The low is that there's still so much more to do, and it took me all day just to organize the little bit that I did. So it's just frustrating. Organization, cleaning out, it's like a forever process. But I plan to be at this school for a long time until they make me leave. It'll be a long process. So stay tuned. More loft organization will happen for many, many years to come. So that's my high/low.
Awesome.
I think that is a thing for so many of us. I don't know about y'all, like I said, and it's not throwing any shade at your predecessor because more stuff comes in, nothing comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes like I said, not like we have this abundance of time to just, Marie Kondo your closet or your loft or something. It's always taken away from something else. I feel like every music teacher has that going on with their closet, or at least I
100%.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Beth, how about you? What's going on with your school year so far?
I'm going to go high because I'm the happier music teacher and I feel a little pressure to do that at least the first time. So uh, it was so good. Two things. It was so good to see my kids at back to school night. So this is my second year on the campus. So I haven't been there forever, but like you, this is my forever school. That is where I want to be. That is where I want to finish my career. And so it was just so good to see all the kids. Back to school night does not usually feel like for a teacher like a joy. Sometimes, it kind of feels like, okay, stay a little bit later, get your takeout, put on your shirt, and all that. Yeah. But then with the kids, it was fantastic. And to see them, their families, and to not be the new teacher and actually get to tell them hi again instead of introducing myself was super.
Yeah.
The other one, and I haven't had a lot of this happen before, so I was pretty happy. I changed my hello song for second and third to Up the Ladder. So the Amy Abbott one, you might have seen the video for Up the Ladder, Down the Ladder. Well, they loved it, but they loved it so much that when I was out doing walker duty, I overheard them singing it. And for music teachers, that's just life. When you're not having to encourage them to do it or tell them to do it, when they just spontaneously are singing that on their own. Yeah, we love it.
Very
That's the
nice.
best.
Yeah. Our main theme today is a discussion with Beth Duhon from Happier Music Teacher, who just completed her Kodai Level 2 training. So we had some questions about how she's going to be implementing her summer learning into her year of teaching right afterwards. So, Beth, thank you so much for agreeing to, bear all about your recent summer learning. And thanks for being here.
Thank y'all for having me. Y'all know me. I'm a super fan. I've known y'all all the time. Carrie and I are both alums from the same college. And like I said, I'm not the only one because y'all have like 125 reviews. It's ridiculous. But if
Oh,
y'all have not left them a review, go ahead and leave them a review now because, like I said, we love Music Teacher Coffee Talk.
Thank you so much.
thanks, Beth. That's so
Yeah.
sweet. And I'm going to be very excited to hear your thoughts because I took ORF Level 1 this last summer. So, you and I being similar ages, going back to school, I think we're going to have a lot of things in common. So, you're going to see me probably nodding ferociously to a lot of the things you're saying. So, I'm excited. So, let's just start off with you just telling us about your Level 2 experience. How did it differ from Level 1 or other similar experiences you've done in the past?
Oh, yeah. So, just like my career path is kind of twisty, my Kodai path is kind of twisty. So like I said, non traditional student, older student, probably not the youngest one there at my Kodai training, but also probably not the oldest one there, surprisingly. I think there were a handful of people who were older than me, which I was here for. So, I started, and we probably had the same person. Did you have Dr. Kohler for music education, Carrie?
Yes.
Okay, so we both had Dr. Kohler. So she started preaching a little bit of the Kodai to us. It was appealing to me. I did an independent study for a semester with Mary Eggleston, so our wind ensemble director's wife. And like I said, she was just gold. I just loved to go and learn from her and do that project. I dug in. Life happened, and I taught for about 3 years in Virginia. I taught privately for 13 years. And then I got back in the classroom when my son was 5. So anyway, up and down with the Kodai, not a big thing for a private lesson teacher, right? So when it was time for me to return to the classroom, the district that I'm in now and some other neighboring districts really wanted at least level 1 Kodai on the resume. And I figured as someone who's transitioning, I should do that. I always secretly kind of wanted to do it. But this was way different because I was paying for it out of my pocket. It was far away. I had a 4-year-old. I had not been in the classroom, the elementary classroom, for decades. And so I was preparing to transition. So, like I said, paying for childcare, the whole bit. So it was a big investment in time and money. And like I said, I was a non traditional student for sure. You know, then several years passed because I don't know, several years passed, and then when I got into this district, it's a gift because Fort Bend. I'm repping my shirt. I don't know if y'all can see this, but this is my Fort Bend Kodai Institute shirt. So I thought I might wear it for y'all today. They actually provide that training, which I think is just gorgeous. It's required for level one. Eventually, like say that you get hired onto the district and you don't have level one. I don't know what the time frame is, but the expectation is that you're getting your level one. But if you have it, even so, they will still provide the levels up above. So I thought, well, I've always wanted it. Why? Like I said, I think you're really foolish when the district has a train like that to turn it down. You know, it's free PD, it's quality PD, all of that type of stuff. It did feel a little bit more like work because I was there with my work colleagues, which was different than what I was doing before. And the way we do it is it involves a couple different districts together. So I don't want to exclude anybody, but Alief ISD and Katy ISD, Deer Park ISD, and Fort Bend ISD. The bulk of it was Fort Bend, but it's definitely representation from the other ones. But like I said, separated by 9 years. So this was not like I was just going seamlessly from one program to the other. All my teachers were different. Um, you know, that saying about the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but here we are. This is the second best time to plant a tree. And so I'm a little late to the party. The other thing that was just fantastic is Kathy Cudis was my musicianship teacher. I mean, what a gift. Yeah, it's healing and positive, and everybody loves her. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about Kathy. I wouldn't believe them if they did, and it was just a treat. So that was a really, and my dictation, like I said, I'm an open book. Y'all know me. I'll spill it all here. My dictation was just like a little bless your heart, you know, and she'd still give me a positive comment or positive feedback or help me figure out what was going to the root causes of it. So that's a little bit about my level two in a nutshell. How about your ORF one, Carrie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, similar feelings of like being one of the older, but not the oldest. And that was like fine. But, coming at it in a different place in my career, because I did my Kodai levels right away. So that was like drinking the Kool Aid 100%. This was a little bit more like, okay, I have my established stuff, and now I'm learning how to sprinkle in some new ideas. So that was a different mindset than some of my colleagues who are maybe a little younger or less experienced in their teaching career, but still really exciting and really fun. And I think it's just a great testament to you that like we're still learning, right? We're not done at a certain point in our career where now, we love to share ideas, but we also get ideas too. Tanya and I go to Kodai workshops as much as we offer Kodai workshops. So yeah, we're all learning, and that's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't want to stagnate.
Yeah.
And for me, like I said, full disclosure, like I said, I'm an open book to a fault. If y'all have listened to the podcast, you know that it's like to a fault. I'm way too open. No poker face or any of that. But I had really considered in the recent past, before I got this job in Fort Bend, like we were probably going to be done with teaching. It was time to maybe look and find something else. And to the point where I did that for a year. I worked at Region 4, which in Texas is the Education Service Center. I was it's a very prestigious title. Don't be too jealous. I was the temp secretary for the Science and Social Studies department. So it paid like a temp, but I loved the environment because it was professional development. So everybody there was growth minded. And like I said, I love presenting professional development, attending it. I'm here for it. But like I said, it was time for me to either commit more commit more to my practice and say I'm going to up my game and I'm going to be the best teacher I can be, or time to do something else. So when I came back, I really wanted to commit. And to the crazy point that I'm actually pursuing national board certification right now too. So yesterday morning was national board time. And so my goal, even though this, like I said, to someone who is young at your or for my Kodai would seem silly, I want to get fully certified for Kodai and fully certified for a national board by the time I'm 50. And currently I'm
Awesome.
47. So the clock is ticking, but I think I can do it.
Totally.
Wow, good for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So during your level two this past summer, did you encounter any other challenges? And can you share how you overcame those?
I surely can. No, I didn't have any challenges. I was the top student and I sailed through with no, that's a lie. I won't lie to y'all. It was challenging, y'all. And like I said, I wonder, and like I said, I've shared some of this on my own podcast, but I just think there was a lot going into it. I think probably we had like a week between our semester and then the start of our Kodai level. So for sure, a little bit of fatigue, you know, fear, procrastination, lack of academic stamina, you name it. I had it, which was surprising to me, And like I said, I these trainings I think are humbling in the best kind of way because we need to be humbled and we need to find those areas where we really, like I said, the things that I stank at, to put it mildly, in undergrad didn't magically get better without attention. And I've got a master's in horn, so it's not like I'm a dummy. Sometimes I'm a dummy, but most of the time I'm not, but like I said, it was humbling in the best couple ways because that will expose your weaknesses. It will expose, like, oh yeah, I thought I was hearing fourths and fifths and I'm a horn player, that's kind of a big deal. I struggled hearing fourths and fifths, you know and they said for academic stamina, I think, like, Carrie, you probably went right after undergrad into your Kodai levels. Do I understand that correctly?
Close. It was
Close.
after my second year of teaching I started Kodály levels. So yeah, pretty
Ish.
close.
Yeah. And so, like I said, that academic stamina to sit my bottom down in the chair after the night of the classes and just do the work was a challenge. I submitted some stuff a few weeks past the deadlines. Y'all can tell me. I hope that that's not a horrible thing in Kodai land. Um, we'll see. So like I said, what I really did is it was very important for me to be okay in musicianship. That was with Kathy Cudis. I did not want to trip over my own shoelaces in front of Kathy. I did plenty of times, but I wanted to be there. Conducting, I was really committed to being a better conductor, and I do feel like I grew a lot. Pedagogy, she was in level 3 when I was in level 1, and she's a colleague from the district, so I definitely didn't want to trip over my shoelaces there. So for materials, I did a little bit of intentional neglect because I felt like that was a thing that I could do a little after the fact and have the least trouble. So like I said, not ideal, but neither for me was being a 47-year-old staying up all night to do my homework. And I
Yeah.
was, and I was slow. So I'm proud of what I turned in, and I'm looking forward to the feedback. And I probably need to do a gentle nudge and reminder because I'm thinking with y'all teaching levels, you probably don't want someone training things way after the fact. But I communicated. You know, I just let her know what was going on. I just got in the weeds, to be honest, is part of that. The other thing, and this is the gift that but like I said, I two of us had a kid at home. Both were probably around the same time, teen, young teen. The others didn't, so different life stages. But still, some of my class was a newlywed, so she had gone straight from getting married into her Kodai levels. Someone else was expectant mother. So we had fun with all the Kodai names for the baby, right? We're going to call the baby Quadlibet, Zoltan, all this stuff. So everybody has their own things going on, but like I said, definitely worth it. The other thing that was probably I intentionally, like I said, I'm the self care person for good or for bad. I'm going to celebrate Father's Day with my husband and honor him, even if I got some homework due.
Mhm.
I'm not going to take the whole day and say, sorry, we're going to have to reschedule Father's Day. I'm not willing to do that. Picking up my son from summer camp, I'm going to go pick him up from summer camp for good. Like I said, for me, I thought some of that work would still be there, particularly materials. And this is no shade at materials. Like I said, I'm really proud about what I learned and turned in and everything. And my materials instructor was strong, but that's kind of how I handled it. My health took a beating. I don't know how you did with any of that this summer, but or when y'all teach levels, I wonder that too, because I mean, there's no tired like Kodai tired. Um, there was a snack wagon, which was awesome. How nice that, not my manager, but my fine arts administrator, Julie Bediger. I don't know if y'all know her or not, but she's in charge of Fort Bend Kodak Institute. So there was a snack wagon every afternoon. Well, the snack wagon had, what you would expect on a snack wagon, chips and candies and da da da. I'd bring some. All of a sudden, like I said, when I got my labs back after Kodak, I was like, oh, yeah, it is. It is time to get back on track. So I'm in a season of getting them back on track too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard time, and people deal with it in different ways. And you've got to have some non-negotiables, like you said, about spending time with family. And um, you know, at my age, teaching levels, my non-negotiable is sleep.
Yeah.
There comes a time at night where it just doesn't matter if I haven't graded all the things, that I'm going to sleep. And I make apologies later and I try to catch up in the morning because I have some time where I'm not teaching. And when I'm not teaching during the day, I'm grading or planning
Yeah.
or both. And but the thing is, once we get into double digits, I go to bed definitely by 10 o'clock
Oh,
during
for
Kodai
sure.
levels. Because I did have some times during when I was taking Kodai levels and when I was teaching Kodai levels that I would push it and say, nope, I'm not going to bed till this is done. And then I just pay for it the next day because, I'll usually get a migraine, which will take me out of high quality anything for the next day.
Yeah. And then for me, like I said, I really I prioritize sleep. I don't get migraines, thank goodness. But like I said, for me, emotional regulation. And I did pretty well, maybe one or two Kodai induced breakdowns or whatever we're calling it. But I did, fairly well. But like I said, if I had had less sleep and, like I said, and then you're tired and frustrated, like I said, I think it matters to take care of yourself. And I know with y'all teaching the levels, you think about students, but y'all are pushing just as hard, if not harder, during levels too.
It's
Yeah, it's
hard
a
work for
different kind
everybody.
of stress, but for sure
Yeah.
it's there. It's still there. We try to mask it though. We try not to cry in front of the students. They can cry to us, but we don't want to cry to them.
Yeah.
That's what they make those music teacher closets and lofts for, by the way. Is
Yeah.
it's really it's just like the crying place in church for the babies, only it's for the music teachers. When you need a minute, when you need to cry,
Yeah,
you just duck into that closet or loft, and then you freshen up your makeup, and you're fine. It's fine.
totally. Totally. So now that you have successfully completed your level 2, I would love to know how you are planning on rolling it out. What's your implementation process looking like? Tanya always jokes with her level 1s after taking Kodai level 1, like, you're gonna want to Kodai the world is the quote that Tanya uses all the time, because you do. Once you get this knowledge, then you want to go back. You want to do it with every grade all day, but then we know that that's going to burn folks out real quick. So, do you have kind of a plan in mind of how you're rolling this out? Or are you just going to kind of feel it? What are you thinking going into the school year?
It's both. I love Code Out of the World. That's hysterical because it's so true. It's like you get hyped up at a church revival, and then it's like that. Only it's Kodai. You're going to Kodai the world. Yeah, let's all do it. If you're, and like I said, I hope I wasn't negative with the challenges. Like I said, the level training was challenging, but I needed a challenge. And like I said, definitely worth it. But yeah, I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's a challenge. And we get later, I'll definitely can talk to people about you should consider taking levels and why. Yeah, so I thought the year plans were the one thing that was so tremendously helpful for me for clarity. That for sure is a part of implementing that I want to feel more on track with. I did not have a music 2 teacher last year. We had a long-term substitute who was darling, but she was not music certified or teacher certified. She was a long-term substitute. And so now this year we actually have a music 2 teacher. And instead of trying to be real heavy-handed about the co-planning, because I think that can get a little bit, we see our students once every 6 days. So our students actually get quite a bit of music instruction. And so it's music 1, music 2, but we see them every 6 days. So instead of getting really heavy handed about the co planning, just in terms of thinking more about the basic year plan and how that works, Fort Bend is interesting because they also, I feel, are pretty serious about lots of performances. So they want every student on the stage at least once. Now, there are varying degrees of how hardcore you have to be with that, but basically the opportunity for their family to see them once during the year. So for that, like I said, just those big rocks of where is the performance prep going to fit, where are our standards going to fit for all of that. When am I going to film my level 2 videos and write those lesson plans for submission? Because when you think you're done with level 2, you're not really done with level 2. It's like, let's turn in some videos, let's turn some lesson plans. So you're still getting some more feedback.
Yeah.
Even little things I think have made a big difference, like having a hello song. I've known that. I mean, I know that. I was raised that way, but it's easy to get sloppy and not have your hello song. Even things like making your lineup musical, taking every chance to make something like that that's kind of mundane musical. I think my big rocks there are just for this year singing games for each level, which honestly I have done in the past, but been more intentional about that sequence and what that's going to look like for sure. And then also having my students and I be music makers more than consumers as much as possible. I struggled vocally last year, which there's probably a whole stream of things why I struggled vocally. That year off I took was probably not helpful either. But like I said, I think the two extremes people do is either A, they're trying to code out the world, or they're not implementing at all because they're afraid they're going to do it wrong. And so they just, I'm not, and then they just kind of close the binder. So like I said, I think for me, thinking in terms like, so level 2 for us, probably same for y'all, a lot of second and third grade. So maintaining what I was doing with kinder and first, and then like I said, getting a little more intentional with my second and third grade, but not going crazy. One of my friends from the level training confided about her classroom management being weak, which I mean, no judgment. That's a total thing, and she's in a real challenging campus in a different district. And so for her, because I mean, she was on point. Her sequence and her pedagogy and her master copies and all that were on point. But I'm kind of like, that's beautiful, but they're going to ruin your beautiful singing game if you're not setting up those routines and procedures and success. So I think you have to really balance that because you just can't layer a beautiful pedagogy on top of this broken stuff. The laws of sowing and reaping in a classroom are still going to be true, which is like like I said, you still need to have a routine and procedure for all the things, basic, basic rules or whatever you want to call them. But like I said, you have to really have that rocking and rolling and put the Kodai on top of it. Not that Kodai is going to fix my broken classroom system because Kodai is powerful, but it's not that powerful.
Yeah, and you have to have relationships with your kids, right? They have to trust you to be vulnerable to sing and to do some of these things we ask them to do that can be musically challenging too. So building relationships is also a big part of that too.
Yeah. You had alluded to creating the video, and I'm assuming that's in order to continue on to level 3. So, what are your plans on level 3? Are you planning on doing level 3 next summer? How do you intend to prepare for that experience?
Hmm. I am planning on it. So, like I said, I was not on the teach 2 decades straight out of college path, so we are on a little bit different timeline. The only factor that may change this, and if it does, then it's like another non-negotiable. My parents are still in Illinois, and dad is 92 and mom is 82, and recently their health has started declining. So if it is, and I'll have some time before you have to declare, like probably when they're trying to plan like April for some training that would take place in June. If they are not, like if I am needed there or depending on what's going on, then it's a no, but not no forever. It's a later until a better season. But hopefully, if I can do it, and like I said, I do have family and things back there too. If I can do it, then for sure, level 3 next summer. Like I said, that's the only thing that I can think of that would make that not happen, you know? Um, so, as also, oh, okay. The other thing I was thinking about is staying closer to site because I was going about 45 minutes one way. And I really tried to maximize that car time in the afternoon, but I was by myself. So I was thinking about possibly, even if finances are aligning, to just get an Airbnb 5 minutes away and just camp out and knock it out. I think that would help a lot. And like I said, my level 1 binder is pretty busted. So I think probably taking some looking at my level 1. Like I said, I think my level 2 binder, I'm going to have confidence in that, especially when I get the feedback back. But level 1 is a little busted. So definitely maybe going back and seeing, because every levels program, they have, I think, y'all tell me, they have the big parameters, but how y'all choose to do some of the requirements could change a little bit as far as like what constitutes a master copy or how many of each you need. I think you have some discretion. So going back and making sure that my Fort Bend Codi level 1, because that's not where I took it, to make sure I'm on the Fort Bend style of doing things for level 1. And so for my level 3 assignments, I'm not going back and doing level 1 stuff. Or even like I said, I know it set me behind a little bit was and this is silly, but even just the music education fonts, just getting that rocking and rolling. I know, and that's a common problem, I think. Just getting that rocking and rolling, having that better now should help with level three. But as much of that as I could just set up, and maybe some healthy food delivery. I don't know. I don't want to eat like garbage a whole month out of the summer twice. I can't afford it. That's like a twelfth of, and not that Kodai training is a month, but 2.5 weeks for sure. So I want to make sure that I'm treating my body better, whatever that looks like.
Yes, yes. And you know what you say, Beth, about the tech being a piece, please do not feel embarrassed about that bit. That is a real thing that, I mean, as a level one teacher at Colorado Kodai Institute, this is one of the things that some students who, unfortunately, who are younger and are more digital natives, they are able to grasp on and fly with it. I had one student who was doing her song analysis master copies in Canva, which was new. I mean, I know Canva, but
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about using it that way, and she's just doing it, and she got some other students on board. So I've got those people, but then I also have people who are like, "Oh, the music ed font, that's like the most time consuming thing is lining up everything." And so, yeah, I mean, this is that technology piece is definitely a learning curve.
It is
And
part of it.
yeah, I think the only reason that I've got it is because I'm teaching and I've continued to teach every summer. And if I didn't have to do it, I'm sure I wouldn't have those skills. So yeah, it's a very unique thing that we expect. I mean, the alternative would be writing out things by hand, and I've
Hard
noticed,
pass.
yeah, these days, like when I started teaching, that was the norm, was that people wrote it by hand. But because of technology, most people do not do a lot of writing by hand. And by the time they get to be an adult, it's just not going to get better. And it's not a
Mm.
skill. I mean, what's the most important thing? The most important thing is that we're doing a nice master copy. We're able to analyze all the musical things. That's what you want to spend time on, not using a ruler and making things exactly uniform and trying to get that skill that you haven't built up during all your schooling. When I was in school a very long time ago, elementary school, I had to do a lot by hand, and I wasn't expected to do anything typewritten until like the end of high school and into college. So I was, and my master copies, which are by hand, they still look crummy. So, it's this whole like we've got to keep up with what is the uniform look. And in the 21st century, that is definitely that we have these tools and everything looks really nice because it's been done, with music ed font and by a computer. And so now that's the standard. And now the younger kids, they're fine with that. And then, the older people in my classroom, that's a little bit of a struggle. And I think it's a beautiful thing when I have students who are willing to sit and help each other with those kinds of things. But I just wanted to assure you and anyone listening that yes, the struggle is real. It's a real thing.
That is very nice to hear. It does make me feel better. I do have a hint along that. I don't know if y'all have done this. Yeah, I am miles away from doing them on Canva. And like I said, this is probably a generalization and not a nice one because I don't like it when people generalize either pedagogy because I don't think we're more complex than that. There's shouldn't be generalized. But I would say more likely than not, Kodai does attract more type A people than it doesn't. And I'm a solid type B plus. So, like I said, a lot of that imposter syndrome, I'm like, oh, yeah, y'all are neat and straight and organized and take joy in color coding. I can tell that. And like I said, I am very drawn to the sequence of it and the organization of it and the methodology, but that is not my strength. Anybody who knows me will tell you. The tip that I got, I don't know if any of y'all use this, is to use tables when you're inserting your music education font to make it like a table and then make the borders invisible. That was so my friend who I mentioned about the classroom management was a great musician and also really good at this. And when she did that for me, that was super helpful because all of a sudden I had some help with the spacing and the neat and the straight. And when you just got rid of the borders, it kind of the table helped me a little bit with the measures and things. So
Huh, hadn't
Oh,
thought of
that's
that.
yeah. I have to try that.
Well, hey, that's a great tip and some great advice, which brings us to our final question for you here, Beth. What advice or tips would you give to teachers who are considering a Kodai training program, any training program, but we're kind of focusing on Kodai training
Yeah,
specifically today. So, what advice would you have for someone who's thinking of doing this for the first time?
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll expand. Like I said, I will give advice all the time, even if people don't ask me, but you're like actually asked. So we'll go ahead and get the advice. Do it. I feel like it's a season of sacrifice. And like I said, and I expounded on that maybe in a way that a lot of people don't or aren't vulnerable about, but I trust y'all. Um, it's just a season and they can't take it away from you. Now, if you do have the gift of, you're in your first or second year teaching and you're able to go into it then, if finances permit or your district provides anything. If your district provides it, for sure. I mean, if it is near enough for you to do that and they're providing it, that is such a no-brainer for me. So that one, absolutely. The only thing I would say, maybe a caveat, I hope I'm saying that right. Do it, but not at the expense of your family. And maybe if you're in a season, like I said, I mentioned my parents, uh, that's not a sacrifice I'm willing to make. It might just have to be a see you later if that's the case, depending on how things are going at home. But if you're in a season of babies or young children and all that, I don't know. They're only young one time, and I know I had said friends there who I just admire so much who would just they had the little ones and they were somehow making it work and they had support from grandparents or whatever, but they're only young once. So that's the only thing I might say. Like I said, something has drawn me to it. Also, and I had to literally write this down. Um, Run your own race. So it really does. Like I said, by doing it, I know I improved my craft. There is no way I could have been doing high level chorus every day and you know musicianship. Would I really have the discipline to sit at home and do any of that? No. So the musician, every conducting on and on, or master copies, which in a very strange way, if I had nothing but time, I enjoyed the digging. Like I enjoyed getting down to the folk song index and the route and tracing it back and pulling that thread. Like I said, if time wasn't an issue and it was just hobby work, I really enjoyed it. So all of them are things that I would not be disciplined to do on my own and hopefully improve me and then therefore improve my students. I do think the flip side of that, and I just intentionally did it, was because June was a lot and I was whooped. The flip side was for me, July was really rest and I didn't feel guilty about it. I wasn't trying to tackle all the other things at home. Like I said, I am the self care person, so maybe I'm a little extra about it. But I really, if I was going to exert a lot of professional effort, a lot of screen time, a lot of focus, now on the flip side, I really wanted to be intentional with that rest during July because I think it was important.
That's a
Yeah,
good
I
plan.
did the
Yes.
same after I took my ORF level one course, and that was a different, level of intensity, I feel like, than Kodai, but still hard work. And those couple weeks right after, I was on the couch a lot. So I definitely made that. And then there was a moment of guilt and then a moment of, no, I truly need this. My body and my brain need this so that I can start fresh in August with my students. So, yeah, definitely feeling that balance this summer as well.
You mentioned the brain, and I hope, like I said, I would love to hear more about the ORF experience for you. So I hope I didn't monopolize. Um, I do think integration also. There's a fancy word for letting stuff settle in your brain. I'm not a neuroscientist, but that's legit. So it is okay. Like I said, I think I noticed with you and I, depending on how long you're on your campus, it is going to take a while till they're a complete set, and they've only had you. And it takes a while, especially if you're doing, like I said, if you're adding on a level or you're adding on a new methodology, it takes a minute for that to all happen. It's not like you just snap your fingers and all of a sudden we're writing these beautiful lesson plans for all 6 levels that check every one of those boxes. Nor do you want to. Like I said, I think your kids would kind of get some whiplash if you're like, okay, that was old. Here's Orf. Look out, here I come. I mean, I don't think that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, agreed.
Definitely.
Tanya is going to share with us a Know Better, Do Better segment where we're thinking about being more culturally responsive in our classrooms. So, Tanya, what would you like to share today?
Okay. Well, this year, I just decided to embark on this little side project where I really want to continue building community within all my classes, but also like within the community. And when we talk about culturally responsive teaching, we know that it's more than including multicultural music. That's not really culturally responsive teaching. That we're talking about using strategies that really bring in and help teach people of different cultures that are in your classroom. Well, in light of thinking about that building community, I thought, I know there's a few people on staff and parents who play instruments or who do music as a hobby. And so I'm going to be bringing those people in. Our person who does the after school care program, I had just found out a few months ago, he was talking about how he has a music degree. And so I was like, "Hey, what's your instrument?" And it's oboe. He's like, "Yeah, I went for oboe performance." And I'm like, "Well, what a wonderful thing. I'm going to bring him in. He's coming in next week to play the oboe." Because the kids are used to seeing him in this light. And now they can go, "Oh, look, this is part of somebody's life, and that's not even there. Me, I can play my dulcimer, I can sing to them all the time, and they're like, well, yeah, you're the music teacher, of course you're going to be doing that. But to bring in other members of the community, I'm also planning on bringing in our music curriculum coordinator, who happens to be the mom of one of our students, and I'm hoping that she will play her instrument as well. So this is what I'm trying this year, is that like to really showcase, here we are, we're a musical community, so many people in your life, this is a big part of their life, and here they are. Just a little short thing.
I'd like to piggyback on that a little bit. I mean, it's just best practice, right? Because when I look at my standards that I'm being graded on for our T test, which is a Texas version of teacher grading, or I look at it when through national boards. I mean, you look, the language is there over and over. It includes community and it includes the stakeholders. So you really just can't have a little island in your room. I mean, if you're doing it right, or at least according to their metrics, you're reaching out to your community too.
Yeah. For our work smarter, not harder, Beth has some tip for us here at the beginning of the school year. Tell us what you got.
Yeah. So I'm going to say work smarter, not harder is a big part of the happier music teacher message. Some people kind of get it twisted about me. Like they hear about my book or my podcast and be like, oh, so yeah, you don't work really hard. No, I work hard, but I also, have some boundaries and some limits. So music teacher doesn't mean martyr, but a lot of us use the same tabs every day. So a game changer for me, I don't know about y'all, is when you can set up Chrome to have pages load on startup,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're using the same tabs every day. So if you are sharing a certain YouTube video every day, or like for me, I reference Music Play Online frequently. I'm a super fan of that. So you can just Google this, frankly. You can Google about Google, but roughly you're going to open Chrome, click more on the top right, get into your settings. And then there's a tab or probably a button for under on startup. Open a specific page or set of pages. So you add all your pages and you can use your current pages if they're open. And then voila, when you power up your computer for the morning, you will have all your tabs open for the day.
Oh, yes. I always forget about this, but whenever I do it, I'm so thankful I do.
There's
And
one more
oh,
along
yeah.
the same idea, and this is straight from the early 2000s, but I'm here for it. Is use your email distribution list. Go ahead and make one. Like I said, if I'm not intentional, I won't do it. Go ahead and make one for your outclass team or your specials team or your lamp team or whatever you call them. Go ahead and make one for your grade level teams, especially if you're collaborating with them on programs. Go ahead and make one for the admin and company that you tend to regularly. Your choir, if you're doing email communications. I can't praise email distribution lists enough, even though this is not a real recent technology, but that's what it is.
That's one of those things you put the time into it and then it saves you time in the long run. So, definitely a good tip. So, we are so excited to have Beth here to also share in our Coda section where we'll each share something that we're enjoying in or out of the music room. It doesn't have to be music ed related. So, let's see. Tanya, you want to start us off? What have you been enjoying lately?
Well, I love podcasts. I listen to a lot of them. I listen to Beth's, of course, right when it comes out. It's a wonderful thing in the morning, and this time of year, I'm really intentionally listening to and not avoiding like the teachery podcasts that I listen to. Not that I've been avoiding most of them over the summer, but it depends on what's happening in my world. But I consistently listen to the podcast Happier with Gretchen Rubin. And Beth, I know that you're a fan as well.
I am.
And she does something called More Happier every other Saturday. She drops a little extra podcast. And the latest one that just came out yesterday was More Happier Back to School Hacks. And it was just filled with some for you as a parent, some for you as a teacher, even though they're not, teacher focused, but there were a lot of so many little hacks in there that I had forgotten about or that I had heard for the first time. And so that specific episode was really good to listen to as I'm gearing up and thinking about all things school. Yep.
Awesome.
Carrie, how about you?
I'm going to share a cooking website. So, if you're like me, you're always looking for new things. Like back to school time is like, new mindset for so many things, and that includes cooking routines. And I do really love to cook, but my whole thing is I never can come up with ideas of what to cook. So, if I've got someone telling me ideas, I'm usually happy about it. And this is not a new blog recipe website at all, but it's a really good one. It's called Damn Delicious. And I have cooked lots of her recipes, and they're generally simple and quick, and my kids love them, crowd pleasing kind of stuff. So if you haven't already been on her website, and she's got a Facebook page and all that, and you can subscribe and get things in your inbox and all that, whatever you want to do. Or if you just want to go and just search and look for recipes, Damn Delicious is a really good place to look for some new cooking ideas.
There you go.
How about you, Beth? What have you been enjoying?
Well, I've got to say, I'm a little disappointed. This was not like a new grisly murder podcast you're going to tell us about, but it's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
No, no, I'm actually a big chicken. The librarian on my campus is like that. She'll be working and listening to that as she works in the library, and I'm like, I can't look. I'm such a baby, but that's okay. Damn Delicious has a really good shrimp recipe that you might like. Literally, you put the oven on 400 degrees, a pound of shrimp, you parchment paper, you do olive oil, salt, and pepper. 5 minutes later, you have delicious shrimp ready to go if it's already
Amazing.
peeled and everything. Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's the best.
Yeah.
And yes, I am a Gretchen Rubin super fan. Uh, Mine is a podcast or two. The one I've really been enjoying lately is Lazy Genius. In fact, I include a little bit about her in my book. So it's Kendra Adachi, the Lazy Genius, and her tagline is that she is a genius about what matters, but lazy about what doesn't. And so the whole sieve that she's putting things through, she has lazy genius principles, is about what, live in your season and start small and be kind to yourself and just all sorts of principles. And then she is also friends with the office ladies from The Office, and she'll do episodes with them. So I'm on a big Kendra Adachi kick. She is probably the one that I listen to more consistently than anything.
Yes.
So before we say goodbye to Beth, we just want to say thank you again for being here. We learned so much from you and your Kodai journey this summer. It's been so fun chatting with you. Can you remind us again where our listeners can find your book and your podcast and your work and all the
Yes.
things?
This is the
I
plug
will
zone.
shamelessly
Tell us
plug myself.
everything.
I absolutely will. And thank y'all for having me. I have a Facebook group, Happier Music Teachers. And I also have a podcast, Happier Music Teacher, Self Care for the Music Educator. And then finally, I have a book. It's available on Amazon and F Flat Books now. And it is Happier Music Teacher 50 Days to Being a Happier Music Teacher at Home and at School.
Thanks again for being here, Beth.
Thank you so much,
Thank y'all
Beth.
for having me.
We've reached the double bar line. Thank you for listening to Music Teacher Coffee Talk. Show notes can be found at musicteachercoffeetalkpodcast.com. You can connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. Just look for Music Teacher Coffee Talk.
If you enjoyed this show, please consider subscribing, rating, and leaving us a review on iTunes to help others find this podcast. And we always appreciate folks buying us a coffee, so look for that link on our show notes and on our Facebook page. Until next time, this is Tanya.
And this is Carrie wishing you happy musicking. Hello, and welcome to the Music Teacher Coffee Talk podcast. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Tanya. We both, I'm sorry,